It's pointless to fight the awesome power of Mother Nature. That's what architect Paulo Alcazaran believes. But he also says we should have had enough of the floods, and it's time we rethink urban planning. Here's the second part of that interview.
You cannot fight nature.
Right.
And if the reality is that the winds will make the water so strong that then any engineering you throw at it will be useless. It's the problem has to be solved with much larger context and much more resources than just stopgap measures. Actually, a lot of our mitigations or interventions or solutions are all stopgap. They address mostly just the symptoms and not the cause of all of the problems.
Seems a little bit overwhelming.
But it is, and unless we acknowledge that it is overwhelming, we will never be overwhelmed to take any action. That's my whole point. My prediction is next month this will all be forgotten. And then
that would be really bad.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's very sad.
But here we are 3 years from the last incident, and we're repeating essentially the same thing. Yeah, it's Albert Einstein's definition of insanity, doing something over and over again and then hoping for a different outcome. Everything is downriver, not upriver. Marikina will never solve the flooding problem that affects the rest of us unless you go upland to the Sierra Madres and address the bigger problem there of the loss of the forest. In a reality of 100 million Filipinos, we must really try and find new paradigms for even our civic spirit and sense of community. We still have barangays which are from the 17th and 18th centuries. Our cities are essentially made of these units which are from a rural past rather than an urban present. Any designer who's in the field of environmental planning, city planning, urban design, or landscape architecture and architecture, they know the problems and the issues involved. A lot of us have worked overseas and have contributed to the improvements of other cities in other countries. But when we come back here, you don't listen to us unless a disaster comes and we get interviewed. Although it's flooded in Manila over the last few centuries, and this is a picture from the 1920s, which I show.
That's 1920s?
Yes, the 1920s, and you see the UST did not flood then because it's surrounded by fields. And the open fields absorb all of the floodwaters. So though it did flood from time to time, it didn't flood as much. So my point is that although history shows that the problems had started then, it is different now because the scope and scale of all of the disasters is much larger. And the people who are put in harm's way much more. So it's a bigger disaster than they could ever dream of. A lot of the solutions to city improvement or district improvement, if you look at the amount of resources and money that, say, private developers like the big boys, the Ayalas, the SMs, and everyone put into building a place, you can actually do it. It can be a PPP thing, so long as there is a proper governance structure over it. But there is an absence of that.
Yes.
Zoning regulations differ from each of the 16 cities in metropolitan Manila. Although there's a national building code, each one has different ordinances. So even planning, which should be cross boundary, cannot be achieved. There's no fixed set of rules. There's no coordinated set of rules. Over and above, not over, but to the side is the MMDA, which is essentially just traffic and garbage. So they threw the baby out with the bathwater in '86, when in reality, during the martial law years, they had moved in the correct direction for metro governance, which is governing Metro Manila as 16 towns and cities as one agglomeration of an urban area. We are the last city in Southeast Asia that's not governed as a metropolis. We're governed by 17 kingdoms with 17 kings and queens who don't talk to each other, at least not all of them. Some are progressive. The younger ones they know the problem